With Planet 2 Zoo officially announced, it's time to actually start our speculation before we get news next year on what's coming to Planet Zoo 2. So this video is going to be a little bit different, but I'll go into that a little bit more in the future. Hey guys, I'm Greyhammer. I do a lot of Planet Zoo content and simulation game content as well, along with some other gaming and maybe some reptile content as well. Thanks guys for tuning in, and let's get straight into the video. So the way that this is going to be a little different is I'm going to be splitting the categories into things that are 99% confirmed, probable, possible, and then unlikely features. So we're going to basically rank these features. This is not necessarily all encompassing of what could come into Planet Zoo 2, but these are some of the heavily requested things, and kind of just putting where I think that they're going to really change the game. And honestly, this can be a pretty good figure out of whether you think you're going to purchase the game as well, because you can say, how many of these features do I need to justify buying a new game that's inevitably going to be $75 USD for the deluxe edition, almost assuredly. So it's not a cheap game, but it is a game you can get a lot of hours in. But Planet Zoo 2 needs to be worth moving from Planet Zoo 1, because Planet Zoo 1 is a really great game with a really established modding and DLC collection. So going to a new game, which is inevitably going to have a smaller roster than the current game, almost assuredly, then that's going to be a hard sell. But let's get straight into what I think are confirmed features. So what do I consider as that 99% confirmed? And I say 99%, this is practically 100%. So what I really consider to be in this is scaling, because that is in both Jurassic World Evolution 3 and Planet Coaster 2 games. So if you want to consider those as like your Gen 2 Frontier games, because let's just face it, Jurassic World Evolution 2 didn't add anything super inventive, but Planet Coaster 2 and Jurassic World Evolution 3 did. Scaling is one that is in both of those, including random scaling, which is really great for foliage and rock work. Can really make you create some really amazing scaling and just scenery. So that's one feature that I think we're really going to be able to get pretty well established. The next is the lighting engine, and that's going to be something that, again, that's in both of those two newer games. And basically what I'm saying with that is if you use items besides the foliage, it will actually block light, and that's going to make lighting up rooms significantly better. Making nocturnal houses will be possible with this new lighting engine. That's going to be something that's huge. And so having, especially with Planet Zoo, where all lights are toggleable, as opposed to Jurassic World Evolution 3, where we only have a couple of lights that actually can turn on during the day, this is going to be something that is super useful for creating any kind of indoor building. Going to make everything look so much more realistic, and this is going to really push Planet Zoo 2 over the edge. I'm going to just save myself, of the 99% confirmed features, I think that you're basically, if all of these are correct, then that is my benchmark of, yes, I can buy the game. If it has all the 99% confirmed features, the other features I trust Frontier to add later or tweak. So I'm confident that if it was 99% confirmed features, I would buy the game. The next one is brush tools. And I don't really like brush tools as much as a lot of people, but I would say, after talking with some people, I do agree that they can be very useful for filling out areas in between habitats, which I need to do better at doing and having those areas. I tried and cram exhibit after exhibit after exhibit. So, brush tools, another feature that's in Planet Coaster 2 and Jurassic World Evolution 3. The thing with that is I really want you to be able to create your own brushes or have lots and lots of different types of brushes, because what it can suffer from is, especially with Planet Zoo, where you have specific North America temperate, for example, covers almost the entirety of North America, which is a massive region. Those plants aren't native to that whole entire region. So you really should have more customization to create a southeastern woodland or a northeastern woodland or a northwestern woodland. Things like that are all temperate biomes but have very different plants that live there would be great. Or you could go to where you can actually create your own custom brushes. And that's something, again, going to be super useful in creating a whole area that looks cohesive. And I heard someone say, I'll just brush over the entire map and then build the zoo into that. I think that's a great idea of what you can do with that. Again, foliage looks really, really great in Jurassic World Evolution 3, so I'd expect the same quality of brushes and foliage in Planet Zoo 2, if not better. So that's going to be something really great to be able to create those realistic habitats. But let's move on to what I consider likely features. So these likely features are ones I consider to probably be about the 75% chance of us getting them. So I think we still have a pretty good chance of getting all of these likely ones, but to me, there's a chance that we don't get this and things stay relatively similar to what we've got. So I think likely we're going to get Planet Coaster 2 style pathing, which has some really great features that I'd be interested in, like null pathing that you can have floating, all kinds of things like that. So that could be really, really useful. Again, I haven't had a chance to look at this, but I've heard plauses are really easy to create. The system is pretty great. It just takes some getting used to. The reason I don't think we're getting Jurassic World Evolution 3 style thing is because Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster are both voxel-based games as opposed to Jurassic World Evolution 3, meaning they're more likely to use the same pathing system, which is great for us because the Jurassic World Evolution 3 pathing is not my favorite in the entire world. The next one is a big elephant in the room, and it's aviaries. This is the most highly requested feature for Planet Zoo is aviaries/birds. How they incorporate this is going to be another question. I've heard some people saying that maybe it will be like a fence system where you can create points and then it will automatically generate mesh in between those points. That's a possibility. That's certainly something that I'm sure they could do, but I don't know how much processing power that will require. They could do just an exhibit system for aviaries where they have walkthrough exhibits possible, non-walkthrough exhibits, make larger exhibits, smaller exhibits, and your birds will go in there. That will reduce the processing power of having to have free-flying birds everywhere and calculate where they're going and things like that. And it will be really great in being able to get more birds into the game faster. That's the biggest thing on that. If they do free flying, then we may not get as many birds in our base game roster, but we'll see for sure. That's going to be a tricky one. The next one I have here is base game roster. I think you're probably going to get all animals from the base game in Planet Zoo. There's the one caveat to this is I could see a few switches happening. For example, the Formosan black bear might get traded out for more of an Asian black bear. Himalayan brown bear, maybe you could trade that out for a Eurasian brown bear, but you probably could just get rid of it and get something better, like a bird. The one way I could see that they cut the base game roster is to justify the fact that they're going to have free-flying birds. So I think Planet Zoo started with 100-something animals. They could say, hey, these free-flying birds are really tricky to code, to model, to animate, so we're going to cut, 10, 15 species and add those bird species in their place. This could be something that not too many people would be upset with, I don't think, especially if they make those picks pretty well. Things like deluxe animals such as the Thompson's gazelle, I think was the deluxe version of the springbuck, the Himalayan brown bear, the Formosan black bear, things like those duplicates could get taken out and you could get some nice birds. Nobody's going to be upset that the Himalayan brown bear gets replaced with a golden eagle or a bald eagle or a Himalayan monal. there's so many options that would be better than a Himalayan brown bear that everyone would be happy with. So I think we're going to get the base game roster plus birds. I don't think too many people would be upset with some of the base game roster being cut to add birds. But we'll just have to see what Frontier does on that. Because if we get like a base game roster of 150 animals, that could be, very huge. But this gets us into our possible category. So the possible features are ones I consider about 50% likely to get added to the game. So I think we're definitely going to get some of these. And 2 of these, in fact, Eben has already created great videos on them. I'll try and put the first of those in the annotations. So aquarium exhibits and reworked climbing are 2 that he's handled in great detail. I highly recommend you watching those because he does a great job breaking out what's possible for a game creator. But for aquarium exhibits, you got the exhibit box. There's nothing stopping it from becoming a tank. This kind of goes into point 2 with exhibit reworks, but even if we just keep the 4x4 exhibits, you could make it an aquarium and have a small reef aquarium, a small freshwater aquarium, different style of aquariums with that. But I think that's pretty likely that we get something like that. Because you don't need a big habitat for killifish, neon tetras, things like that, archerfish. You don't need a big big exhibit to do this. Exhibit reworks is different sized exhibits and null exhibits. So either one of these 2 features could get added to the game. Both could get added to the game. Null is really nice because it would allow you to create your custom sized exhibits, but you could also do any number of other types of habitats where you could have an outdoor habitat for an exhibit animal. Because I have seen that some people keep their snakes outdoors, for example, or your Herman's tortoise could go outdoors. So that's something that could be really great. Also, different sized exhibits would be awesome. Some people say a modular system, but I think that would be a little bit more complicated, and I think we're asking for a little bit too much when we get to that field. I would consider that unlikely. But you could get things like a 1x1 meter box, a 1x2 meter box, a 2x4 meter box, a 4x4, and then a 16x4 or something like that, 12x4. So a larger exhibit box where we could get pythons. And again, a lot of people don't like the exhibit system. If it's made more customizable and just allows for more species to get added to the game, I'm down for it. I want as many species as possible so that we can create our most varied zoos, and you don't have to see the same animals in exhibit boxes in every single zoo. Reworked climbing is, again, another one that Eben really covered well. So just tweaking animations might be helpful, tweaking the UI so that you can see what is causing issues with your climbing. Things like that are going to be really helpful. Climbing is a really powerful system, and I'm amazed it's not in Jurassic World Evolution 3 because it's so useful in Planet Zoo. It's such a cool feature. It allows you to create these overhead walkovers, things like that. The animals in Planet Zoo act so realistically to what you would picture them being able to do. Obviously, the game is not super realistic all the time, but the ability of your animals to climb over things is, I think, so underappreciated. I remember when Planet Zoo 2 came out, and I was just jaw on the floor of what the animals were able to do in this game compared to what they were able to do in like Zoo Tycoon 2. So I think we really got spoiled, and we just continue to complain. But all that being said, polishing is really good for this system because it can get a lot of polishing. They've already done polishing on it. We'd love to see some animals be climbing more. For example, koalas should pretty much always be climbing. But then just tweaking it. Fixed hitboxes kind of fits in with this. Currently, an animal has to be able to turn around in the habitat or in the space for it to be considered traversable. I'd like to see if they can change this so that it is more possible to create interesting looking habitats and habitat gates especially. This is a minor point. There's already a mod that fixes the hitboxes. It does cause, like, the hitbox thing would cause animals to maybe be able to phase through some stuff, but I think people would prefer to be able to build their habitats with more customization than that. Of course, one of the other things that Jurassic World Evolution 3 had is that you can toggle collision on items off. So that kind of fixes the hitboxes issue if you're not worried about animals phasing through things. But again, if you just made it so that they would attempt to walk through that traversable path, but then could phase through if they turned around, you kind of fix that problem as well. So those are all of our possible features. Let's get into the unlikely category, which is probably where I'm going to get the most flack. Luckily, we've only got 2 categories in our unlikely features, and this is 25% likely to get into the game. So I would say more than likely not, these aren't going to get into the game. Be pleasantly surprised if we do get these in the game. But they require, well, some big decisions, and some of those being exactly money decisions. And, the company needs to make money. Let's just face it. So let's get straight into it. Aquarium habitats. This is one that, so Zoo Tycoon had aquariums. And so you had your different aquarium gates. So it is possible. We know that. But Planet Zoo 2, again, has a lot more complications than Zoo Tycoon 1 did. And so it's already got its system of how you put habitats in. Now, if you were to be able to make an aquarium gate, then great for them. Hopefully that works well. But most of the animals that would go in these habitats either don't do well in captivity, have ethical questions of whether they should be in captivity, or aren't that common. So let's talk about a few of those. And those are the, orcas. They don't do well in captivity. 100%. I don't think there's ever been an example where an orca in captivity has ever been a good idea. Ethical questions is dolphins and belugas. Because I don't think there's as big of an argument for saying that they're 100% always doing poorly in captivity. There's probably okay ways you can keep dolphins. Maybe there's okay ways you can keep belugas. But, again, there's a lot of ethical concerns of the ways these animals have been kept, and sometimes are still being kept currently. There's some zoos that I think do it pretty well, and then there's some that do not do it very well at all. So, honestly, I don't know that Frontier wants to get into that ethical quagmire of should we have cetaceans. Animals that aren't that common. So, really, again, there's not that many species that this would really work terribly great for that couldn't have been a habitat for, like, a large exhibit, that it's more simple calculations. Manatees are about the only thing, because sharks swim in circles, so larger fish like that could swim in pretty defined patterns. I think manatees, there's an argument to be had that they, because they have that mammalian brain and they kind of think about things a little bit more, maybe you need to see them move around a little bit more irregularly. But, again, I don't necessarily think that this feature of making those habitats aquatic is going to be a feature in Planet Zoo 2. If it is, I'll be pleasantly surprised and interested to see what species they add into the game. Because, again, manatees aren't that common in zoos either. They're difficult to transport, especially if you live anywhere away from Florida. And so, I'd also like to see some logistics go into your zoos, but I don't think Frontier is going to go down that route. This is the last issue, and this is probably the one I'm going to get into the biggest amount of trouble. We should not expect to see the DLC animals as part of the base game roster. Maybe we'll get some of these as free updates in the future. That's something I could see, like they're doing for Jurassic World Evolution 3, except they're using the base game roster. This is something I meant to say about the base game roster as well. We are not going to have the same issue that Jurassic World Evolution 3 had, where they had to cut animals from the game because they had to make new models for every single animal. Planet Zoo has the models there already. They just need to tweak them. So they don't have to make whole new baby and male models, because we've already got that. So that's why I expect the base game roster to be pretty much unchanged. DLCs, Frontier put a lot of work into these. And yes, you already bought them for Planet Zoo 1, but this is a different game. So I don't think we should be expected to get all the things from the previous game that we bought if we didn't buy it in the base game. Maybe there's an argument to be made for Deluxe Edition, but so many, 20 DLCs, that's if you just took 5 animals for each DLC. That is, with the calculator, 100 extra animals, and it's closer to 120. That's ridiculous to expect them to give you just on a silver platter for the second game. Free updates over time might be a way that they do that. So they might have that, just a few of those added and then a few repackaged as DLCs. We're not sure on that. So that could always be changed. They could just repackage all of them as DLCs. We're not sure. Again, I'm hoping we would see some of the base game or some of the DLC pieces added to the base game, because the pieces got way better over time. Again, model style from the DLCs applied to base game animals. That would be something that I would love to see. But again, I'm not expecting DLC animals in as the base game. If we get them, I will be so happy. It's not even funny, but I do not want to set my expectations so high that they then just absolutely get shattered. But let me know, guys, what you think. I think that these features are pretty realistic. I hope that I didn't miss any major features that it's highly requested. I did my best to think of what features I've heard a lot about and how we can get them sorted in the game. But let me know which of these features is the sticking point for you and you won't buy the game unless it has this feature. And let me know what feature you don't really care about on this list, and if you went without, wouldn't it be too upsetting? If you want to see more Planet Zoo content and Planet Zoo 2 speculation in the future, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comments that you enjoyed this type of video, and leave a like on it. And I will see you guys in the next video. Thanks for tuning in, and goodbye now.